2025 Las Vegas real estate free fall, 2008 all over again? Well, I got that for you. And what is this market, and have we seen it before? Have we seen what's happening right now before? A hard truth breakdown. I've got that for you. I'm going to break down exactly where we are. And, you know, for you buyers and sellers, I have numbers for you that you have to know. If you are a buyer or seller in Las Vegas, Nevada, really anywhere, this is what you have to know. But in particular in Las Vegas, Nevada, let's get right into it, folks. Is this, you know, do these numbers I'm going to show you, do these things that are happening indicate 2008 all over again? Well, let me jump into a few things that I think are facts that you should know. I started, you know, in real estate when the crash was in full effect. Okay, it was 2009 when I got in, and the bottom didn't hit for, you know, until 2011, beginning of 2012, late 2011. That's 3 years it took for the bottom to hit and then for us to slowly start coming back up. Folks, it's been 17 years since 2008. Unbelievable that it'll be less than 3 years from now, a 20-year anniversary for that time. It was a very rare circumstance. And what I want to point out is that like subprime loans, non-existent basically right now. That's really not what you're seeing in the marketplace when you go to get a loan. Now, teaser rates do exist. This was, you know, they had rates where you would have an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. They do exist now. They're different though. They are different than they were back in, you know, 2004, 5, 6, 7 when they you know, what led to 2008 and the crash beyond that. Borrowers, teaser rates exist. They do, borrowers, you borrowers out there, and you would know if you've done this, a lot of you have, you put down a large down payment still, okay? So it wasn't just an ARM and no down payment, which was happening back in the day with these subprime loans. There was very little down payment. Sometimes people were getting paid to move into a home. Very little skin in the game. Well, there's a lot more skin in the game, and there has been for the past, you know, not quite 17 years, but yeah, since 2011 and beyond. So the ARMs are just not there. The ARMs that would have been a problem. The way they work now is they are tiered. The first year's a really great rate. Second year goes up a little bit. Third year, usually that's where you're locked in for the rest of the loan, and it's not going to adjust from there. So you know exactly what your rate is going to be, and it's not tied to fluctuating interest rates. Most owners have lots of equity. So most of you who own a property, you have equity, especially if you bought, let's say, 2, 3, 4+ years ago. You have a lot of equity in most cases, and even if you refied, you still have equity. So a sell-off would have to ensue first. That would mean that you would have to have drastic problems in the real estate market. Legislation, that was a problem too. That was, you know, the politicians were trying to get affordable housing out there and had creative ideas. Well, we do not have the conditions that were created back then. Thank goodness. We want affordable housing, but we also don't want another crisis like that. So I would hope that lesson learned for some time on that. There are affordable housing and down payment assistance, but even those buyers undergo strict guidelines, and they still have skin in the game. It's not a free ride that a borrower will just jump off at the first sign of trouble, okay? So that's a quick breakdown of why this is not 2008. It is different. What is this market? Have we seen it before? Well, the most recent market that we've seen that was similar to this, although it was different, and I'm going to point out some ways it was different, was in 2022 and 2023 into 2023. So late 2022 into 2023, we saw a lot of inventory come on. We saw those rates were jacking up, and people were afraid to buy. They didn't like the market. You know, the sellers wanted to get their properties on the market and get sold, those who did want to sell. The big difference is that there was not as much inventory. The inventory did not pile up. And so when I get to where we're going with this, with what I'm talking about with the numbers, you're going to see we're in a different place now. But that was the last time that we actually saw a slide in the median price, and it pulled back quite a bit. And I do expect that kind of a pullback as we go in the months ahead. But the way I'm looking at this, folks, is this is not a bubble bursting. Okay, this is more of a bubble letting off some air. It's debubbling a little bit. It's softening, correcting, if you will. So one thing that is different right now for sure was the drastic change after tariffs were announced. That scared the daylights out of the market, and it was because we were already sitting on some areas where it felt like the economy is shaky, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows that, hey, this is kind of like bubble territory, right? Well, so you start adding something like the pressure that those tariffs have, and certainly that scares people. Suddenly it was okay to report the housing market being unaffordable, even though this condition really has been in effect for years. A condition of the housing market for many people being unaffordable is not a surprise to many people, but it's just now being a little bit more brought to the surface. And the irony is that this is the best buyer's market since 2022, since that time I spoke about, and really probably before then because of the continued inventory that is coming on. So different parts of the U.S. economy can be in recession and things can still be okay. The key is that those areas are contained, that you don't see an across the board recession. Okay, so what I've been hearing from the top economists, if you will, these people that really know what they're talking about, that I trust, is that parts of the economy have actually been in recession in different areas. And that's why, you're seeing inflation's a big one, right? And that creates all kinds of problems. But what we don't want to see is a pileup. Like, you got 5, 6 different things that are in recession, 2, 3 different things. Okay, that might be actually normal. That would be something that ebbs and flows throughout our economy. And maybe you know that. Maybe you know this already. Maybe I'm reiterating some things you know. Housing will be in a recession of sorts, but for how long? I believe prices will soften, and then the big change will be when rates drop. Okay, so as soon as rates start dropping, there will be a market shift, and I believe balance will start to get back be restored. Balance will be restored, and that may not be that far off. That moment may not be that far off. So I really think that right now is an opportunity for people. If it's your time to buy, go out there, get a deal, make it happen. If it's your time to sell, well, folks, you just make sure you get a right price, because the buyers are not out there in force right now. Obviously, you want to entertain, you want to lure a buyer that is looking for you, that has a deal. If you have a property that looks like a deal to people, guess what? Your property's going to sell. And I can prove that with the numbers that I have ahead. So the numbers that buyers and sellers must know, folks, I'm going to jump in and tell you what's going on. At the end of April, we had 1,350 properties total on the market. Okay, that was April 29th. I took a screenshot from last month, and that was there. At the beginning of April, it was 87,029. Okay, so you can see that the movement was going up. And now let's see where we are today. I'm going to start with this. This is what I call my multi-view here on the MLS. We have new listings going 1,207 of them on the 7-day average. That's quite a few. I look back weeks and we were seeing actually a little less than that coming on the market. So we're continuing to see properties come on market. Those price decreases, as you can see, 1,182 remaining super strong. They've been up there. Sellers know if they're not getting an offer, price decreases coming. Price increases, only 86 of them. Okay, so sellers do not have the confidence to increase their price. One thing I want to point out here is we're remaining pretty darn steady when it comes to how many have sold and how many are under contract. That's these under contract show and under contract no show. That's 328 and 466 if you see that there. That's been remaining very steady, those numbers. I mean, I did see a couple of weeks in the last month or two that it went up, solds went up to about 800. But one point that I want to make here is let's go down to withdrawn. Withdrawn and withdrawn conditional. This is where your safety valve is, if you will, for the overall market. Sellers will just withdraw their property. They will just not sell. If they are not in desperate need to sell and they do not feel like they're getting the offers they want to get or any at all, they're just going to withdraw. And that will pull back some inventory, and I have seen those numbers climb through the weeks. Okay, so I will be keeping an eye on how many withdrawals we see, although we're seeing quite a bit still coming on the market. Now let's jump into how many total on market. 10,099. We eclipsed 10,000 properties. As I said we would, as I thought we would, we have been continuing to climb. Now, where I think this would be concerning is if we started adding about another 1,000 properties onto the market. Concerning, is it crashing? Still no, but I mean, it would indicate that we have sellers that really do want to sell, and they keep piling on. That would be, just a more extreme buyer's market for you out there. I think we're actually at traditional numbers prior to 2020. It was about, you'd have 9,500, 10,000, 11,000 properties on the market prior to 2020. We're just approaching what would be traditional prior to what was very not traditional, which was COVID times, right? So there's just been a multi-year effect from that, I think, and now we may be getting back. This is what I believe. We're going to get back to stability by seeing, yes, more listings coming on, but then eventually we will get to where the rates make a little more sense and maybe even some softer prices. I think that's exactly what's going to happen, and then that's going to be more affordable for people to come in and buy a house, and you could see a bit of a surge again in the marketplace. We will have to see. I think that's, if nothing less, we will see a stabilizing effect. We won't see this continued down. We may just see a very stable market ahead once we get through the next several months. And those folks, again, I'll just say it again, the next several months, you're a buyer. I mean, I think it's opportunity zone. And yeah, the rates aren't great. Yes, the prices are coming off historic highs, but you can go out there and beat up a seller that really needs to sell right now and get something done. Get yourself into a home. And if you're moving to Vegas anyway, well, just take that advice and use it and make that happen. And the last one here that I'm going to show you is the luxury market, which has 1,230. We call luxury a million plus, although luxury, because of the amount that's been selling there, it's probably a little bit higher than that these days, 1.5. But I still think it's quite a luxury for people to be able to afford $1 million property. And there are 1,231 of them. It was remaining under 1,000 for a long time, including at the beginning of this year. For several years, it was under 1,000 properties available in the luxury market. Now we have some inventory for you. Still nothing crazy. I just think if you're looking for luxury property right now, well, you might be able to find one. Certainly a little bit easier, but those primo properties, the ones that are single story, 4-bedroom in an awesome area, with a pool, sizable lot, 3-car garage, those types of things, 3+ car garage, those are going to still be a little bit difficult to find, and the sellers generally know what they have, and that market has remained strong. All right, so, if you're one of those people out there that you're actually buying right now or just bought, I just have to tell you, don't worry about it. As long as you purchased at a price and a mortgage and whatever that is comfortable for you, you're gonna be all right. I think you just need to know you're probably hanging out in your property for a little while. You don't expect that next year you're gonna sell it, right? So as long as you were planning on being in the property a couple of years, I think you're gonna be more than fine. And so that's also why I think it is more than fine to go out there and get a deal in this marketplace. It may go away in not that long. We may not have as much inventory or as good of what you can go out there and get as far as a deal on the market after this sort of settles down. Everything I've said in this video, interest rates change and the prices slide a little bit to a softer area, which they're going. All of a sudden, the market will stiffen up and it'll be more competitive. And, maybe that's not your time. Maybe that's not the best time for you to buy. Maybe right now is. And so anyway, I hope this video really helps you get to where you're going. Sellers, make sure you price your property right in this market. You will get it sold. I showed you that solds are happening. They're just not happening at a rate that many sellers would wish because they'd like to have multiple offers. Who wouldn't, right? Well, if you price it right, you still can get multiple offers because those buyers that are out there are looking for your deal if you're willing to give it to them. All right. Hey, have a great week, everybody, and I will see you on my next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Rob HAU. I'm all about houses and you. And now you know how to sell or buy a home in Las Vegas, Nevada. Contact me anytime you are ready. I don't care how you get a hold of me. Throw a rock through my window. Text me preferably, or email. All right. Thanks a lot. I will see you on the next video. All my information is down below in the description.